Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Please don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blow the Whistle Sports. I'm your host, Wayne Holloway, and thank you once again for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. And like always, if you want to see something on this show, or you have a bright idea that you want to see us implement on the show, drop them in those comments below, or hit us on any one of our social media outlets. Holler at us, we holler back. Ah, my goodness. We're back up in here, and we have a great show planned for you guys. But before I get into all that, let me introduce you to my co-host, and he goes by the name of Mr. Patrick Nagle. How you doing, sir?
I am well. Football is here. We have actual game to talk about and preview some games coming up this weekend.
Yes.
I spent the weekend at the Portland Grand Prix IndyCar race down in Portland, Oregon this week, and got to have some fun down there. And it was a little hot down there, but it was fun, and got to watch some racing and hang out with the Air McLaren team. Thanks to the Air McLaren team for having me. Shout out to you.
Salute.
And absolutely best team in the business. And but no, I'm fantastic. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. A nice week. Barn burner. It's been a barn burner out here in Los Angeles. Just me, my wife, my dog, just trying to beat the heat. But hey, lovely air conditioner and fans make everything work out just fine.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Get inside, get away from the heat, man.
Yes, excited about football.
Let's talk about it.
Hey, the first game of the season. And you know, our boys are back. Woo!
Man.
Hey,
what
how did King make you feel, sir? I know I'm overlooking Pickett. I know Pickett, but King.
Well, I hate to do this. Actually, I don't hate to do this, but I'm going to pull out a little something from the go back machine here.
Let's go.
I'm going to go on the messenger here, and I'm going to pull up a message that I sent to our boy Myron Tornado McCray.
What's up, Tornado? Salute to you, baby.
The reason I'm going to pull this up is because I'm going to say straight up in here, I'm going to say I sent him a message on April 25th, and I said, Carolina signs undrafted UDFA Haynes King. They gave him $250,000 and signed him to a 4-year contract. I love this move. I can't believe he went undrafted. I know he played in a run-first offense at Georgia Tech, but he was the ACC Player of the Year, and he had serious consideration for the Heisman. Interesting move. I see Taysom Hill in our future. That was written on April 25th, and because when my boy got on the field in the Hall of Fame game, he didn't look like an undrafted free agent. He didn't look like someone that the game was too big for him. He didn't look – he wasn't perfect, but it was the first preseason game of the year. But he looked like a guy who can play, and he made plays with his legs. He made plays with his arms. He made some great throws, and he was throwing to some guys that aren't even on the top of the food chain there. So, I think he looks good. And I actually I was in Portland, not at my house for the weekend. So I watched the game on TV without sound, and I was in a Discord chat with Tornado and a bunch of his followers, and it was a good time. But most importantly, I said it then, and I'll say it again. I think that Haynes King has a real legitimate shot to be QB2 in Carolina, and we'll pass up Kenny Pickett. Now, Kenny Pickett, and in fairness, the offense struggled with the name, but all in all, I thought our quarterbacks played pretty well, but I was really excited for Haynes King, and that before we get too far down the road with Panther love, what a game.
Yeah, and we're gonna have much more of that on Panthers Corner. That's another show brought to you by Blow the Whistle Sports, where Panther fans indulge. And even if you're not a Panther fan, come indulge. We got something in store for you.
But what a game! I mean, normally the first year, the Hall of Fame game, it's rough. It's not a great watchable game. It's pretty vanilla offenses. They're not getting much done. Usually it's like a 17-13 game, or 12-9 all field goals. But this was a back and forth, exciting game.
Exciting.
Both teams played pretty well. Carson Beck looked pretty good, for with his opportunities. It was a fun game. It was a great kickoff to football. Wow, what a game. And to have a walk-off win where Haynes King runs it in to the last play of the game to get the win. Exciting. I was thrilled to see the Panthers kind of rush the field and for them to be excited about what their teammate had done. That tells you what they think of him, right? I mean, that tells you how they think of him in the locker room. I've read articles and I've read reports that Haynes King, since the moment he signed there, has just lived at the facility, learning. During the rookie minicamp, he took a lot of the players out into the parking lot at night, and they were, running through the playbook. So it seems like we got a real student of the game, coach's kid there, who wants to be great and do great things. And man, wow, what a great game for his confidence. And I know it's just preseason, and I know he wasn't going against the top line guys, so let's temper expectations. He's not our starter. That job is already wrapped up.
Yeah, to all you Bryce Young haters, stop it. Stop it in the comments. Stop it.
Yeah.
They're fighting for a QB2 position at best, and I'm not counting Kenny Pickett out because as you said, they didn't play with the top tier guys. Kenny Pickett has been a starter in this league. He has played with top tier guys, and first game of the season, new team, new plays. You got to give somebody a chance to get the feel of the locker room, get the feel of the playbook, and get somewhat in sync with the weapons around them.
I couldn't agree more. Listen, I mean, Kenny Pickett was only in for a couple series, and so obviously he didn't have the body of work that Haynes King did to settle into the game and and find a rhythm and all that stuff. But he played good, and I will say this. Kenny Pickett brings a lot of experience. He is still a young guy, and also something that Kenny Pickett can stake a claim to that not a lot of quarterbacks can. He has a winning record in the NFL as a starting quarterback. So, he has experience. He and it's not just he hasn't just started at 2 or 3 games. I mean, he started about 25, 26 games in the NFL. Not that many less than Bryce, to be honest. And he has a winning record, and he didn't look rattled. And his throws. I mean, they were on time. They were thrown with assertiveness. He wasn't questioning. It wasn't a second question. He was throwing the ball. Made some good throws. He did lead a touchdown drive. So he did his part too. So realistically, from Carolina standpoint, obviously it's happier to win. I don't really care about winning in the preseason, but I do believe that there is some validity to you build a culture of winning by winning. So of course, for me, I would much rather win, but I was really just happy with our play on the offensive side of the ball. Our defense was so, but at the same time, it was pretty vanilla. We weren't really pretty vanilla. We weren't rushing. We weren't blitzing. I mean, we were pretty straightforward in our coverages. I have to believe, all the conspiracy theorists out there, listen up. I'm pretty sure that Dave Canales and Mike LaFleur maybe had a little conversation before the game saying, hey, we're going to keep it vanilla. You keep it vanilla. Let's go get our timing and our rhythm down with our players. It certainly seemed like
as they should.
And it seemed like both teams were rushing, but when there was like contact and blocking, they were kind of stopping. Like I didn't see like guys driving through guys, and I'm good with that. I'm happy to see it. We got a lot of timing plays back. So like I said, a really, really great game. And here's a fun fact for you: the Hall of Fame game was the highest Hall of Fame game broadcast in history. So
Wow.
for viewership. So
That
um,
just shows the thirst of people so eager for the NFL to be back in our system and to be back on our TV every week. The
yes,
people have talked. The people know what they want, and they've shown it.
there's one
They've
other
pulled
thing.
up in force.
There's one other thing about that I found was interesting is that the viewership numbers increased as the game was going on, which tells you people were picking up the phone or calling or texting their buddies and saying, "Hey, you got to turn this game on."
Yeah,
Like, "Hey, are you watching this?" And so the viewership went up and up and up as the game was going because it was back and forth. And I have to believe that that had a lot to do with it. You know, people were calling their buddies and saying, "Hey, get on the horn here. This game is good." So great game. And we haven't mentioned it, but we got to see our boy Luke go into the Hall of Fame, so that was exciting.
Luke
Um,
Kuechly,
we got to
Hall
see,
of Fame, Luke Kuechly. Wow.
yeah, I'm not a super emotional man, but I can tell you that when I was watching his speech and then watching him with the class, to really mention each other player that was in his class getting inducted, and then go around and talk about all the people that had helped him. And obviously it's no secret if you are a Panther fan and that he has a special relationship with JJ Jansen and Greg Olson. That's not a mystery to anyone who knows anything about the players on
Right.
our team. But to see him publicly thank him and his wife for taking him in, to see him publicly thank JJ Jansen and his wife for really showing them what it's like to be a family. I really felt like that. I just it was a little bit emotional for me because he probably he is my favorite Panther of all time, and he probably
Right.
will always be my Panther of all time because to me he played the game the right
Understandably
way.
so.
He just played the game the right way in my eyes. He showed up on business, never really talked a whole lot, but I'm not going to say Luke's a horrible athlete, but man, was he the smartest guy on the field every time and any time, and he knew what was
Smartest
coming.
person on the field, and he knew after playing on the field what plays were being called by the other team, shouting them out, and
Yep.
being first to plug a hole each time.
And then to know their checks, so that and then they check the play, and he's shouting that out as well. To listen to other quarterbacks talk about, I mean, it that's my kind of guy. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he's
A
a
real
grinder,
student to
and
the game. Yeah.
he's gonna let his talking be on the field. He doesn't run his mouth. And listen, I love good trash talk too. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, but
Right.
at the end of the day, I love a guy who just does the work and makes everyone around him better, and who just by all accounts is just a amazing person. Not just a great football player.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we've been
So what do you
fortunate
say
because we've had a
to
lot
the
of those
media?
guys.
Go ahead, finish it out, because I wanted to ask you, what do you say to the media people that had a little bit of trash talk? But go ahead and finish what you're saying. I'll bring it back up.
No, I said we've been very fortunate. We've had a lot of those guys in Carolina. I mean,
Right.
Greg Olson is one of those guys. Cam Newton, through all the things that people love to talk horribly about him, but I mean, give away Sundays and giving the footballs away to the kids in the crowd and all the things that he did in the community for charity, that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. I mean, everybody wants to talk about how he dressed or
His own personal stuff. They were more on his own personal stuff than the player himself. They
but
generated a stigma about Cam Newton, and Cam
for
Newton was
sure,
never he wasn't outspoken, and he wasn't in front of the media. He wasn't trying to be an activist. He
no.
was trying to be a player, and
Mhm.
he had his own style. Some people call it weird. That was his own style, and that's why I always say with Cam Newton, it had to do with his. It seemed like his aura was bigger than his football
Yeah,
persona.
I never cared how anybody dressed. I care how you play. I mean,
Thank you.
whatever. I mean, okay, that wouldn't be how I dressed. Now, to go back to your question about the media, I mean, that just tells me those people never watched Luke play.
Well, it
And
wasn't about Luke. It was basically about
okay.
what Luke didn't say in his speech, because they were all over. He didn't bring up Cam Newton. He didn't bring up Cam Newton in his speech. He left Cam Newton out. And it was his day. First of all, I wanted to let everybody know it was
Mhm.
Luke Kuechly's day, not Cam Newton's day. Cam Newton had his days also. And he was thinking about the people who generally made an impact to him. And everybody doesn't know, you might be friends with people on your team and on the field, but you don't have to be that in debt with everybody that's on your team. And I was wanting to know, what did you feel about? Did you take it as a snub, or how did you take that?
No.
Exactly.
I first off, I don't. How many teammates did Luke have in the pros? I mean, how many?
Yes.
And then how many, to your point, of those people was he super tight with? I mean, I'm not saying I know that he and Cam had a good relationship. I've seen plenty of older footage of them both being in the locker room. I mean, in the training facility, one on one end watching tape and one on the other end watching tape. But at the same time, it was just different, the relationship that he had with with Greg and JJ. I mean, that they were a family. I mean, like,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, I mean, Luke Kuechly, he's like Greg's little brother. I mean, they go on vacations together. Like he babysits the kids. I mean, you know, he does a lot of things. It's just different, right? I mean, it's just different. That doesn't mean that they hate Cam. I don't believe that
It's
for
just
one
it's
second.
just the
It's just
media.
it's
The
just
media
different.
always tries to find a story in something and always tries
Yeah,
to have clickbait. And
yeah, and
Cam
I
Newton
think,
is
but
outspoken when it comes to how he feels about things. He congratulated Luke, and he didn't think anything of it. Well, so far as have I
no,
seen.
I'll just say this, like, so that maybe people that aren't as up on the Panthers as you and I are, but I think the biggest difference between a relationship that Luke had with Greg and JJ and even Christian McCaffrey when Christian was on the team is that they all made their off-season home in Charlotte, where Cam's off-season home was in Atlanta.
Thank you.
And so during the season, I mean, they're busy, right? They're preparing, they're grinding, they're playing, they're doing all the things necessary to be at their best to play. It's that off-season stuff that those friendships really blossom and become family and tight. Well, if no fault to Cam, but if he's living in Atlanta raising his family, and remember he has lots of little kids at that time. Um, if he's down in Atlanta raising his family, and they're all in Charlotte getting together, it's just
Right.
different, and that's why. But you look at Thomas and John Beeson and even Dan Morgan to some extent, who helped Luke when Luke first came into the league. They all made their home in Charlotte, so they're meeting at the facility. They're going out to dinner. They're going to each other's houses for cookouts when they have time. Nobody has time during the season. I don't think people understand. I mean, football's during season, it's a 24-hour a day gig. If you're not getting treatment, you're watching film, you're practicing, you're doing media, you name it, you're getting sleep. There's not a lot of extra time in the day to hang out with the homies at the cookout. So I think it's just different. And so for me, I didn't take it as a slight at all. I
Me
just
either. Me either. I
I
just had
just
to put it out there
just different.
because
Yeah.
they were trying to make big news of it, and I like to shut stuff down right when it starts, because a lot of people
Mhm.
they just nasty, just trying to make a good situation turn into something what it wasn't, and we're
Yeah.
gonna keep that memory of Luke, and it's Luke's day. And Luke did his thing, and Luke did his thing all while he was in the NFL on the Carolina Panthers.
Well, and it's also important to point out that Luke Kuechly is the second youngest member of the Hall of Fame. So, so I can't speak that enough into existence. He's the second youngest member of the Hall of Fame, and he went in with a great class. I mean, Drew Brees, obviously a no-brainer. Another undersized guy who suffered a very serious shoulder injury early in his career.
Yeah.
There was some discussion that maybe even his career would be over. He wouldn't be able to throw again. Ends up in was supposed to go to Miami, ends up in New
Mm-hmm.
Orleans at the last minute, and has a legendary career. Personally, as a Panther fan, I would have loved it if he would have gone to Miami, but a great quarterback. A great quarterback. And
Outstanding quarterback.
I
Yes.
have to wonder. I've never heard it, but I have to wonder if maybe Bryce Young doesn't wear number 9 as a homage to another undersized quarterback. I'd be curious to hear if there's some truth to that. If I ever get a chance to ask Bryce, I will.
I've been
I
chasing for that chance around every corner, and you've given me a question that I want to ask.
That's a great
Also,
question. That's a great
yes,
question, right? Maybe. You got Adam
sounds good.
Vinatieri. I mean, a great kicker who was amazing on 2 different teams, who broke my heart in a Super Bowl by beating my Panthers. But a great kicker. Roger Craig, the first thousand guy, when thousands seemed like it was improbable or damn near impossible.
A lot of people said it was impossible. Guess
And he
what?
did
You
it.
were wrong.
He's one of 3. He's one of 3. Christian McCaffrey and LaDainian Tomlinson, and that's it. So I'm sorry, Marshall Faulk. It's Marshall Faulk and Christian McCaffrey. And
elite category.
100% elite. And so I was really excited to see those guys get into the Hall of Fame. They deserved it. And the NFL Hall of Fame is probably the best of the Hall of Fames in all the sports, where it's very prestigious, but yet it's still the right guys get in, right? It's very rare that the right guy doesn't get in. It may take a while, but it's very rare that, it's not political. It doesn't appear, everything appears to be about the right guy. Larry Fitzgerald, Larry Fitzgerald didn't do anything on, he wasn't great at everything. He was just, but he was amazing at everything. He wasn't super fast, the combine. You wouldn't say he had the most athletic physique or pushing up, but yet put him on a football field and he catches everything and he scores touchdowns and he always gets open.
Just put the ball next to him.
He was going to
and
make
he's going to go up and get the ball and an impossible catch, make it possible. Larry Fitzgerald.
Just
wow.
A great class and a great, and here's a crazy thing. You don't even think about how exclusive of a club this is, but when you look at the fact that through all the years of the NFL, the American Football League, and everything that's happened, there's only 386 members of the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
That's it. 386. And our boy Luke is one of them. He's number 384. And he'll always be number 300.
Roger Craig this long to get in.
Yeah, I am too. The only thing that I can say against that is he just wasn't Roger Craig, other than his 1,000 season. He was a great player. I'm not taking anything away from him. He just was never sexy, right? When you think of the 49ers of that era, Joe, Steve Young, Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Brent Jones, Dwight Clark, he just isn't the name that pops off the chart at you, even though he was a very fundamental player. And he's a crazy story because he was a fullback for a long time, and then when they got Rathman, they moved him to tailback. So, and then he produced, but a great player, one of the very, very early multifaceted running backs where he could catch and run. And wow, and just growing up in the Bay Area, just a great player. And I have a lot of great memories of him.
Just to let people know, the fullback position has pretty much been removed. Some teams still put them in there, but that's like a dying position right there. Do they even label people fullbacks anymore?
Not really. Most teams don't have a traditional fullback, but they have the H-back position, basically making a tight end kind of a fullback / tight end. But yeah, Hall of Fame weekend was always it never fails to be sentimental about the game and the memories of the players that get in, and now that is over, then it opens the door to who gets in next year, and who's
now interesting situation. You said 49ers, so let's stay a little bit there with the 49ers because there's a situation that's still going on over there with Mr. Brandon Ayuk. Now,
Yes.
we talked about this a few times, and we thought, well, one of us thought that Ayuk would be a Commander. Now we see it's Stephon Diggs. And it looks like Ayuk is what they say in the Marvel and DC universe. It's caught in limbo. And
Well,
can you tell us a little more about that?
Wayne, he's more than caught in limbo. He's his career is over.
Players hell. That's what you said.
He has been officially placed on the left of team list, which makes him ineligible to play until he officially applies with the commissioner for reinstatement. His career is over. There's no way I believe that he would be reinstated at this point. He'd have to show a lot of therapy and a lot of contrition and a lot of because his behavior, not only has it just been concerning about his mental state, but it's just not good. It's just not a good look for the league or any team that wants him. And I got news for you, Mr. Ayuk. The league goes on without you. And as amazing as you think you are, you aren't all that, because the 49ers still went deep in the playoffs without you last year, despite the fact that they had almost nobody on their team that he could even play. The Commanders, they didn't really blink an eye, and they signed, Stephon Diggs, who I
in
would
my opinion,
sign if I had given the choice. Yeah,
a better pick.
Exactly. Given the choice, I would have taken Stephon Diggs 99 out of 99 times. So, as you know, I was not a believer that Mr. Ayuk would ever find his way onto the Commanders. I thought that was what he wanted, and by no means did the Commanders have any interest in that.
Well, I thought James Daniels and he wanted it. I mean, I wasn't big on it, but I in essence really didn't care. I thought that Stephon Diggs was a better choice in the first place. But between me and you, we are a fan network. We're not one of those big networks that are trying to push a narrative. Do you think that this is justified in the team doing it, or do you think it's just the team being nasty because they can be nasty? Because obviously he wanted off the team, and obviously they said they were going to let him off the team.
To me, I think the team is justified 100%, and I have no I don't have any sympathy for Brandon Ayuk. Let's do a quick timeline reconstruction here. He holds out because he wants a bigger contract. The Niners were about to trade him at the last minute. There's some backdoor dealing, and they decide they're going to give him a back contract. He's one of the top paid receivers in the NFL. Right there at that moment, I didn't feel he deserved it. I didn't feel he had done enough to deserve it, but somebody else, those others that know way more than me, made that decision. And then he gets hurt, unfortunately. And then all the reports start coming out about him not showing up for rehab and treatment and all the things that one is supposed to do when you're injured. And the team, obviously, they want to get you back on the field and make you better. And he chose not to do those things. Last time I checked, Brandon Ayuk is not a medical doctor or an athletic trainer, and he doesn't know better than those guys on how to heal and get you better to get back on the field to perform. The Niners had a vested interest in getting him back on the field to perform. They're paying him a crap ton of money. He's taking up a lot of money on their cap, and he just basically said F off and didn't show up and didn't do it, which to me indicates someone who doesn't want to work hard and doesn't want to, and then he made all those statements after they took away his guaranteed money for not coming, which I don't blame the Niners for doing that either, because if you're not going to come and prepare yourself to be ready, why am I going to give you guaranteed money when you may not be able to play at the level in which I chose to pay you at?
He made $61 million. This is what I mean, Patrick, when I talk about money making sense. A player that's made $61 million at his level can make so much more. But really, realistically, at 61 million, you don't ever have to work again. And people's
No,
work ethic changes once that type of money is in their bank account, and their willingness to work changes. It takes a certain type of player like a Patrick Mahomes, a Tom Brady, just to name a couple, that after the money, they still have a passion for what they're doing. And it happens so many times in not just football and other sports where we have these huge names that we expect this and that out of them. And I just have to bring, everybody back down to earth where we're in 2026. The money that players make are stupid money. And I'm happy that they make their money, but I don't think people really put the correlation, with the people by the players, as in you have to still show up and perform and be a teammate, be a guy that people like. And that's where we fall short as every league with some of these players. They're prima donnas, and once they have the money, their mouth does most of the working and talking instead of the performance on the field, letting everybody see.
no,
That's the annoying part.
I agree 100%. I mean, obviously, there's an expression for that, "F you money," and I want to go back to one point you said. I think 85% of the league are those elite guys that, no matter the money in their bank account, because of their competitiveness and their alpha dogness, they're going to play. The money is, their money is the money, but
I love
they
that
still
alpha dogness.
they still want to play, right? And they want to win,
Right.
and I don't, and so, but that's what makes them NFL elite. That's what makes them NFL players. Not just the elite players. That's what makes the NFL players. The money's the money, but they're going to go play. It's the 15% that the money changes them, and they don't work as hard. And there's guys; those are usually the guys that flash and then are out of the league like that.
Yes.
And so for me, no, I agree 100%. But I also, this opens up a conversation to me, is like, we always talk about the team owes the player money, because they've earned the money because they performed at a certain level. But once you sign that contract, you owe the team everything you got in return, because you signed a contract saying that that's what you were going to do. Right. When you sign on the dotted line saying, I'm gonna 4 years, 100 million, or whatever the heck it was Ayuk signed for, that you're saying, I'm gonna ball out 4 years and I'm gonna follow the rules. I'm not gonna go snow skiing and jet skiing and all the things that could get me hurt. Yes, it's a sacrifice. I get all that, but at the same time, I'm making that commitment because I want to be great. If you just want to sign and take the money, which is basically how I feel what he did, this is what happens to you. So to go all the way back to your original question, is the team justified for doing them this way? 100%. He's online on social media talking about slave days and all this other stuff. You're being paid how much money and you're equating yourself to a slave? Come on, man. Those two things are not even in the same ballpark. And let's not insult any of our intelligences with this. The 49ers are a class organization that, so many people have left the organization and have come back just this year alone. Drake Greenlaw signed with the Broncos. It didn't work out there. He gets released. What does he do? He re-signs with the Niners. It couldn't be that bad if he's going back to the Niners. Deebo Samuel, took a big money deal to go to the Commanders. They didn't really know how to use him the right way. He ends up getting released. What does he do? He re-signs with the 49ers. So you're telling me that this place sucks? I'm going to beg to differ. They're a class organization. They run a classy program. I in all my years of growing up in the Bay Area, in all my years of watching football, I am racking my brain to find another player that can make those allegations about the organization being whatever Brandon Ayuk is saying. So are they justified? Of course they are. Hey, if you're not going to show up and you're not going to honor your commitment, you've left me no choice. Yeah, I can cut you.
Make a statement to the players out there.
Yeah.
We know you're making the money. We know the team is paying you this money. But when it comes to fans, we're the fanatics that buy the seats, that buy the memorabilia, that support them to pay you. And when we come to a game, we expect to see you on the field unless you're hurt. And if you're hurt, we understand it. Having a problem with the coach, with the owner, That's business. It should never interfere with the game. Business is handled when they offered you the contract after you had the dispute. Say no and go to the next team and take whatever you're going to
Yeah,
take and
he
move
didn't have to.
on.
Yeah, he didn't have to sign that contract.
Thank you. But
He held
so
out to
many
get it.
times it's about them and the money. And realistically, you leave the fans out when the fans are the ones that are requesting you to be on the team, that are happy that you're on the team. And I don't know why they're that happy for him to be on the team, because like I said, he benefited from a system that wasn't
Well,
flawed already, and when he was hurt, it showed. It stuck out like a sore thumb. And the 49ers, frankly, are going to be a scary team this season, getting Debo back and with McCaffrey, and now having that veteran wide receiver. Dangerous. Danger.
Mike Evans.
Danger,
Yeah,
Will
Mike Evans is.
Robinson.
Yeah, Mike Evans is going to go there. He doesn't have to put up flashy numbers. Just move the chains. Be smart. Get first downs. Get touchdowns. He's going to help develop that young. They got a couple of pretty good young receivers in San Francisco. Listen. I mean, you know, I love the game of football, and
With the passion.
I do, and I can tell you that if you want on my no-fly zone, my no-fly list, guys that I will just assume I never hear of again. It's guys that disrespect the game of football. You know, Antonio Brown, great player, but as soon as you start walking off the field in the middle of the game and making all that noise, I want nothing to do with you. I could care less about you ever again.
I agree,
You
and
know,
it's sad because he had a Hall of Fame career that
100%.
it looked like he crashed into a wall and crashed and burned, and he jumped out a different person. That's what it looked like. After that hit, and I can't remember the game, he took this brutal hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he got up and a switch flicked, and he's never turned back.
Yeah.
His outspokenness and everything is just completely different from what he's shown us, or what Mike Tomlin was going through to keep him under the wraps when all that was going on. But staying on the same topic, but switching gears, going to another team, Stephon Diggs, that did go to the Washington Commanders instead of Ayuk. He's had a troublesome past with being a diva also, but I kind of think that he did it in the right way because he was so passionate about wanting to win, and then you see the organization making mistakes. And let's point out, he was with Minnesota first, and Minnesota, they've made a lot of bad decisions. So I can see somebody getting frustrated with them and him just going to a team, and now it's just like team first. I just want to contribute. I just want to be a part. I want to bring what I had, the success on this team, to this team for us to go further. I want them to build off of what I've been doing. All that talk, it speaks volumes to me, and I think Washington is another dangerous team that I wasn't looking to be dangerous just because of that simple factor.
I think Stephon Diggs. I don't know that I'm not a Stephon Diggs expert,
Right?
But I don't know that I can recall anyone questioning his work ethic or his commitment to the team. Maybe his frustrations with decisions or lack of winning or lack of game planning boiled out, into the public specter, away from the behind closed doors. But I don't know that I can recall anyone ever saying the man didn't work hard, or the man didn't play hurt, or the man didn't show up on game day and contribute. So I hold those in very different categories.
Right.
Because a good veteran leader could also pull Stephon aside and say, hey, this is maybe I hear you. Maybe this isn't the right way to voice your opinions, and let's keep this in house. And let's fix it so the whole world doesn't need to know that we're fighting. Let's keep it behind closed doors. So I think the Commanders are 100% better for signing Stephon Diggs. I think that gives them a couple of nice veteran options in McClure and Diggs, and then they can develop their younger guys, including Christian McCaffrey's little brother. So Luke. So I like that signing for them. I'm not as high on them as you are in terms of their scariness. I think they're in a tough division for themselves. I don't know that they can compete with the Eagles. I don't know if they can compete with the Cowboys. And I think the Giants are on the rise. And having Harbaugh as a coach, I think they're going to play a different brand of football. I would have, and Jaden Daniels missing the majority of last year with various different injuries. I would probably put them in as the last place team in that division right now.
Wow. Well, me, I have a different thing with them. Jaden Daniels missing those games, getting that time to rest, fresh legs coming in. And from what he did that first season, I think Jaden Daniels returns back to the field in true fashion. The only spot on the Commanders team that I took issue to was the running back position. And now with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I'm waiting to see, is he going to be that bulldozer that they've been looking for? Because I said Stephon Diggs, that's not the number one. He's like a number two. They got Terry McLaurin over there.
Terry.
Oh yeah, and Luke McCaffrey over there.
He played great.
That's wide receiver core. That's scary. With Jaden Daniels, all they need is for that running back to stand the test of time and stand up and be able to run those, because they're always 2 to 1 yard away. If he can get that 2 to 1 yards, I look for them to be a number 2 in this division, maybe being able to take number 1 if the Eagles fall. But I don't see that. I don't see the Eagles slipping or falling because they've gotten rid of their cancer. The Eagles are primed to run this division, but I'm looking for Washington to be number 2.
All I'm going to say about Jaden Daniels is that rookie quarterbacks in their sophomore season always seem to struggle. He didn't have a sophomore season because he was injured the majority of his sophomore season.
But he played the sophomore season. And it's a stigma of sophomore.
He didn't really play his sophomore season because he was out most of the year with injuries.
So you're trying to say the sophomore curse is going to linger because he played a few games and got hurt?
What I'm trying to say is I'm curious to see, because as we know, what makes a young quarterback become a good quarterback, become a great quarterback, is how they adjust to the adjustments in that third and fourth year, which is why this is such a big year for Bryce Young. And I think this is a big year for Jaden Daniels because he missed that year of the adjustments. I'm not as bullish on him as you are. I'm going to have to see it because he also is frail. We got dinged up a lot. And I'm a little concerned. And I want to see it. Listen, I'm not rooting for him to fail. I want him to be successful because I hate the Cowboys and I hate the Giants and I hate the Eagles. But I don't have a lot of love for that entire division. But no, I would love to see it. I'm just not quite as bullish. But hey, prove me wrong, Jaden Daniels, please, because I would love for you guys to go back and make that division exciting. But I have my eyes on the Giants. No, I don't. Just in the fact that I think Harbaugh is a phenomenal coach, and that they're going to have a very different attitude and spirit of play on that team now that he's their coach.
Right. What year is this for the Giants quarterback?
This is second season, so that's concerning.
Sophomore. But I'm glad we talked about it and it segued into that, and that's why Jaden Daniels, to me, in his first year, showed tremendous stability, tremendous talent. He overachieved, which means we know it's there. The dinging him up. Let me explain to you. Since I abuse my my YouTube TV, I watch every game, especially certain players. I check them out. I go back and watch the game.
That's not abusing it. That's getting your money's worth.
Exactly. But do you know that offensive coordinator would call run plays? They have 2 solid running backs supposedly on their roster, and they would be on third down and they would go for it, and that running back wouldn't gain any ground. So therefore, this offensive coordinator You and me see Jaden Daniels looks frail. He's a quarterback, 100%. He has legs, he can move, but you don't want a guy of that style and of that stature that uses his legs to use him as a running back. But they were using him in plays like he was Cam Newton. Now, I'm pretty sure you didn't see this, but that's why he was stayed bruised and abused by these Washington Commanders. Now, in my opinion, anybody that was watching this and saw the style that they had, it was ludicrous having this guy not right to left. They would have him run up the middle like a power back, and
Yeah.
to me, you don't have Bryce Young or Jaden Daniels do that. Maybe in the playoff game, maybe in the Super Bowl, because nobody's expecting it. But during regular season games, they put that guy to the test. They were checking the tires for real.
The Commanders have had a lot of turnover from Jaden's rookie season to now, and I'm curious to see on the offensive line how that, they lost Larry Tunsil, and that's a big deal. They lost their left tackle, so I mean he's out for the year. So that's a little concerning for me. I'm not as bullish as you are. We'll see what happens.
I'm anxious to see it.
Hey, that's why they play the games, right? Any given Sunday, right? I mean, but
don't ever get me wrong. I'm diehard Carolina. The team that I care about is Carolina. I love sports, so I talk about everything sports, and I love football especially. Football is my weak spot, and I'm fair. So like when we talked about Jaden Daniels, I bring it to Bryce Young because I go on these different podcasts like Black Cat Panther podcast, Myron Craig. I talk to these different guys, and some podcasts are down on Bryce Young. Like Carolina had number one season before he got there, and all we needed to do was change the quarterback, and we were prime, ready to go and win a Super Bowl. And in my honest opinion, being honest, keeping it real, we were trash the first 2 seasons we had Bryce Young. The last 2 seasons was my tipping point of seeing us finally turn over. And how long have we had David Canales?
Guess it's going into his third year. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is where you see the transition and the progress that we supposed to see. But some people are, if on the board he didn't do XYZ, it doesn't matter about decisions played. It doesn't matter that he didn't have enough time to throw the ball. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff. He still should be progressing within what we have. And I understand those people also. But me, I use my eyes just like you. I've talked to you before, and it has to make sense. And our team didn't make sense the very first year. Hell no. And then the second year that he was on the team, we've still figured it out. And it looks like now, finally, the Carolina Panthers have come. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I just want to say this about Bryce Young to all the Bryce Young haters. Bryce Young came into the NFL and got drafted by a coaching staff that they didn't know who was calling plays. They didn't know anything about anything. I mean, for Frank Reich being an experienced coach and experienced offensive coordinator, I don't know what the heck happened there, but they really did him dirty that first year. Obviously, we all know Frank got fired, less than 8 games into the season. So that's like a lame duck season. And then Canales comes in, and Bryce has got to start all over again. We're still continuing to build a team. Bryce has progressed year after year after year. Now, granted, in fairness, it isn't like earth-shattering progression, right? It's not like, he went from this to this. He's been this to this, and then this, and then this. So, which is probably a little bit more realistic of progression. I mean, now, let's not forget, after the first year, after Bryce's rookie season, we should have drafted C.J. Stroud. Oh, my God, C.J. Stroud, he's here, Bryce is here. But what's happened? Bryce is progressing. And what's C.J. Stroud doing? He's regressing, right? So I have high hopes for Bryce, but make no mistake, this is really a break or make it season for Bryce. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be out of the league if he doesn't have a good year, but
Oh, definitely he won't be. Just like Sam Darnold. I told Sam Darnold when Sam Darnold came into the league, or speaking off what you're talking about, he was a stand-up guy. He was the guy, and I was told I was crazy. I was told I didn't know I was talking about. Same thing about Matthew Stafford. I told him he was a stand-up guy. It was the organization he was with. It was the people who were making the decisions. I was told I was crazy. I didn't know what I was talking about, and both guys got Super Bowls once they changed the situation that I said that they were in. Now, far be it if Bryce Young has to do that thing. I don't think he does. I don't think he does, but I don't think people really see the fold out.
I think for Bryce, what he sees and what I've noticed just in his demeanor and his I mean, even just watching him on the sideline of the game on Thursday night, he's firmly in command of being the leader of that team. That doesn't happen by accident. It's not like you just walk in the door and, oh, you're the leader of our team. Like you have to earn that spot, and then his play is such that I just feel like this year you're going to see a better product. I think Brad Chizik is going to do a better job of calling plays than Canales. Not that Dave's a horrible play caller, but I think it's really hard. It takes a special guy to be a head coach and the play caller. I think it's very difficult because there's just so much going on. You can't give it your full focus, right? And I think removing that as an obstacle, I think is going to help Bryce. But I think Bryce, they're going out and surrounding him with weapons. And even though Chris Brazel got hurt and isn't going to play this year, I mean, we have weapons. And I just feel like he's seeing that and he believes it. And now he's going to take that next step. And I think he'll continue to improve. I mean, I think he'll throw 7 more touchdown passes this year and probably cut his interceptions down by 4 or 5. Which is what we and what we want to see, right? I mean, continuing to progress. And let's not forget, Eli, Peyton Manning, a great quarterback, he holds the NFL record for most interceptions in a season. I mean, we don't talk about that enough. Like, and I'm not trying to, cut you off at the knees, Peyton, but like he didn't start out exactly lighting the world on fire either. So I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for Bryce Young to continue to shut people up. I'm excited for, the Panthers to keep growing. I mean, hey, like I've said, 3 years in a row, 3 more wins than the year before. So if that holds true, we're going to be a 11 or 12 win football team this year.
And that's what makes the difference, and that's what makes the sense. And people, pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to what's going on. But speaking about that, we had another guy that went down last season. On the Giants, their quarterback, Daniel. What do you think? Do you think he comes back full strength? Does that team look like the contenders they were because they were big time?
Do you mean the guy who's now in Indianapolis, or do you mean
exactly?
Yeah,
exactly.
So you're talking about Daniel Jones.
Exactly.
I think. Listen, I thought he was playing great football before he got hurt. I mean, the Colts were undefeated for a long time.
Wow.
They have Jonathan Taylor. I thought Daniel Jones finally was playing like we thought he could when he came out of Duke. I think he's legit. I think he's going to come back better than ever. I think Anthony Richardson is, he wants out. I mean, he's requested a trade. So, I think Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. I think he's a good fit for that team. I am a little concerned about what the Colts did trading away Pittman. He's a very big, tall, physical receiver that made a lot of tough contested catches. And I'm not sure they have that on the roster. They have good receivers, but I just
they
don't
had to
know.
See something.
I just don't know that you can replace a guy like Pittman. I like a big, strong, physical guy who makes those tough catches on my team. That's why I'm hoping that Leggett on the Panthers, kind of gets it together. Certainly looks like he has, based on everything I'm hearing about camp. But you got to have that big, strong guy that can make those catches, and so. But yeah, I think the Colts have a solid quarterback, and I think them and the Jaguars and the Texans, that's another really tough division. I mean, I think those three teams right there are really good. The Texans are the coin flip for me in the sense that their quarterback and their offense has not been great. And I've heard a lot of people making excuses. Oh, all his receivers were hurt last year and all these other things. But okay, but that defense in Houston it's the best, and it's a scary afternoon when you play them. The Jaguars looked really, really good last year, so I like them. I think maybe Trevor Lawrence is starting to turn the corner and be the player they thought he was going to be. And
finally, a guy that has had so many issues, and nobody seems to have a problem with this guy. There's no QB controversy, and he's underperformed a lot.
Is it maybe because he's 6'6" and Bryce Young is not? I mean,
hey,
just thought. There's also a pigment situation there that also brings up a conversation that I hate even discussing. But unfortunately, it seems to be appropriate here. Is
the narrative seems to fit sometimes? I know.
It's like, come on, man. I mean, Trevor Lawrence doesn't exactly lit the world on fire every season, but yet we don't. He signed one of the largest contracts in NFL history. So why are we so down on Bryce? So there's only a couple things I can think of. There's about 5-6 inches in height and a little bit darker complexion. That's about all I got.
Hey,
because statistically, it's about the same.
There it is, right there.
So, but no, listen. What's interesting to me, and maybe just maybe, and viewers, come on, like send in whatever comments you have. If you go division by division in the NFL right now, I don't know if I can remember a time when so many teams and so many divisions were stacked. I mean, go to the AFC West, right? The Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Rams. I mean, any one of those three teams could win the Super Bowl. Sorry, Cardinals. Then you go to the West. You got the Broncos. They're obviously really, really good. And then you go to the Chiefs, who I think will be back to being the Chiefs this season. And then you have the Chargers, who they sometimes underperform, but they're not an easy out. And I think the Raiders are on the upswing. I like their coach. I like a lot of the moves they made. Obviously they're 2-3 years away from contending another division. I mean, we can keep going through the divisions, but it's been a long time since I can sit here and remember where that team's the clear-cut favorite and everybody else sucks. I mean, there's not many divisions like that right now. Here's another one. I mean, AFC Central, right? You got you got the Browns. Okay, they're maybe not. The Steelers, maybe not. The Bengals, maybe not. You could just keep going down the list of teams, and it's like, well, wow, okay, I can make an argument for any one of those teams. So, for being good or not good. So, it's going to be a competitive season, and that's why, and yet another reason why the NFL is so compelling and so exciting to watch is that you just don't know who's going to win, and I'm just looking at it going, wow, man, there's a lot of good teams, and it's going to be a good season, And I think a lot of teams got a lot better this offseason, and I'm excited to watch it. I just can't think of any other sport that captures my attention like this at all.
Yeah, it's 2026, 2027 season, NFL season. I don't think people realize that we've had a changing of the guard. We've had the Peyton Mannings, the Drew Breeses, the Tom Brady's, and they're all gone. And we had to get the new breed in.
Well, we got one guy still left, but after that.
Yeah, but his last season, his last hurrah, that's another person who's been getting some remarkable tries, no matter what he's done in the league. But at the same time, now those teams that have changed the guard, they finally found their way. Their quarterbacks are finally in the pocket, as you say, as when we are back to what we're used to, where teams are competitive. They're not just stuck in the mud. It's certain teams like the Jets, the
And the
teams
Browns.
teams that just they just can't get right. Just can't get right. But the changing the guard is finally set to where divisions are competitive again, and things are on the upswing, I should say, and we're finally getting a quality product that we were missing in years because of the retiring of our NFL favorites, those teams that you were used to. Every year that Rodgers is going to be in the playoffs. You knew every year that Brady was going to be in the playoffs. You knew every year it was like second nature. You knew these people were going to be there. If they weren't there, they're going to be right in the mix. So it was a comfortness that we knew already, and now it's beautiful because you don't know what to
Anything can
expect.
happen. Anything can
Exactly.
happen.
Any given Sunday. That's a true football statement.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Well, hey, all those football fans out there, we got a full slate of preseason games this weekend.
And before we get out of here, just wanted to run through a little fantasy football. Patrick, do you like fantasy football?
Oh, I love fantasy football.
Are you going to get into a league with me this year, Patrick? I got a couple leagues that have an opening spot, sir.
I mean, I'll join your league, but I got to throw it out here in front of everyone is that I don't want to make you cry. So if you can handle losing, I'll happily join your league. But if that's a problem for you, then maybe you shouldn't let me in.
Well, when we're off the air,
because I don't lose.
I'm gonna go through a little bit with you and see what you want to do because I have all different tiers that you can pick from. And when we get off the air, we're going to talk a little more about that because the way you just put about losing, who does that? No, in fantasy football, what is your go-to first pick? Without giving anything away, because I know some of our friends watch the show.
Depends on where I am in the draft. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Obviously, I want a top tier running back that catches passes. But the way most PPR leagues are now, I would favor a really, really good wide receiver over a non-top tier. If I don't have the first 4 or 5 options to get a top tier running back, then I'm looking at a Puka Nacua. I'm looking at a guy that's going to catch a lot of touchdowns and it's going to get me yards because they score more points than running backs if you have the right system. So it just depends on where I'm drafting. I mean, obviously, Bijan Robinson is probably at the top of most people's draft boards as we sit and talk right now. You can make an argument for 2 and 3, plug in a McCaffrey in one of those spots. You could look at a Gibbs out of Detroit in another one of those spots. Multifaceted running backs that both catch the ball and run the football. So those are probably top 3 picks in most people's leagues. After that, it starts, in my opinion, to get a little dicey there. Now I'm looking at, is a top receiver better than the second tier of running backs? And for me, that's just a feel thing. So like I said, it depends on where I'm drafting. I mean, I don't know that there's a whole lot of secrets in the draft until you get down to round 10 or 11 or 12 when you're taking a flyer on somebody that maybe someone hasn't done enough research on. Depends on what type of league. If you're on a dynasty league, that's a different type of research. If if that's a keeper league, again, that's another type of research where you're looking for diamonds in the rough and rookies that you're not expecting to maybe contribute this year that you can park for a year or two. So it really just depends. I mean, we could do a whole show on fantasy football. I've played a little bit of fantasy football, and I can tell you last year I played in several leagues, and I was the champion in all but one. So it's all good. If you want to step up to the big leagues and play with the big boys, you let me know. But otherwise, stay on the porch.
Hey, there it is. And that was some solid fantasy football advice on Wednesday show. We will be going over a little more fantasy football because I know people are excited out there and they're ready to get there. They're doing their mock drafts. They want to know exactly what they're going to do when the draft, because you don't want to go to a draft unprepared. You don't want to be sitting there and be that guy that yells out TJ Hushmanzada. No, he's not playing anymore. He's not
Championship.
Hey, but Blow the Whistle Sports, we thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Wednesday, 7 p.m. We will be back with more fantasy stuff and more news on what's going on around this league NFL. It's back. It's fantastic. And Pat, you got anything to say before we get up out of here?
I have one thing to say. Again, I know I said at the top of the show, thank you to the Aaron McLaren team for having me out. Got to take the pit tour, go through the pits, and and watch them set up the cars, and very fascinating to watch and listen to them, and all the science that goes into every little aspect of the car that you just wouldn't even think is a thing in order for top performance. Sat in the trackside suites to watch the race, and had a great time. Fans, if you ever get an opportunity to head on out to a race event, NHRA, Indy, I highly recommend it. Some of the most humble, down-to-earth guys are those drivers who are really there for their fans. Make it a point to come around, talk to the different fans, sign autographs at all kinds of different booths throughout the weekend. It's a lot of fun to be a part of that. The company that I work for, we sponsor a driver. His name is Pato Award. He is a very, very popular driver in the Indy world. He is of Mexican heritage and descent, and he brings out the fans. And I got to tell you, I saw something that I don't think I've ever seen for any other superstar in any sport, and that is Pato was going to sign autographs at the American Legion tent on Friday at noon. By 9 o'clock, there was over 1,000 people in line to get his autograph on a 100-degree day in Portland, where it does not get 100. It was incredible to see. I will send Wayne the picture if he wants to post it. But it was
definitely posting that.
It was incredible to see. But in true Pato fashion, and I know him just a little bit, he stayed and made sure everybody got their autograph. So
that's
incredible
big,
to see.
Stars do not do that. They do it for a little while, but in 100-degree heat, can you blame them if they have to go? They're about to pass out signing autographs.
No, they got stuff to do. So that's all I want to say. Again, if anybody has interest in a motorsport show, we'll happily do it. But for now, our focus is on football. Full slate of games, folks. We're gonna have a little recap coming up next Monday about the games that were and who looked good, conversely who didn't, and we'll start ramping it up because, believe it or not,
kickoff to regular season though, because I'm eager to hear what happened and your behind the scenes look. We'll see y'all Wednesday, 7 p.m. Blow the Whistle Sports. Peace.
Good night, everyone.